Kerry Werner from the Kona Maxxis Shimano team. It is midweek after Jingle. It's Wednesday. I think I've crawled out of the hole I dug after 3 days of racing. At least enough to bring you the first of 3 race recaps from Jingle Cross. So starting off with the Friday night race. Never been a big fan of night races. I have done the Jingle night race before. I don't know if I've ever had a really good race at it. Regardless, we started at 8:15. The first time all year I wore a long sleeve skin suit. Not as many people as I thought were going to race this. We had Niels Van de Putten, Thies Aert, and Antoine from the Sal's Pals team. Other than that, it was like pretty much usual suspect from the North American side. So the course was a shortened version of what we would do over the next 2 days. We would do the main Mount Crumpet run up or ride up, and then basically just rip back down to the pits, loop down around the bottom section of the fairground, and then into another lap. It ended up being very, very short laps. Some of the leaders, which wasn't me, and I'll get into, we're turning like sub 5-minute laps. So we ended up doing 12 laps. That's like a crit race. Anyway, I got off to a pretty good start. I hole shotted, which was sweet. I was feeling good. From there, we looped around to the pit and then straight up Crumpet. It was night, so it was kind of hard to see. There was like one line that kind of wound its way up through between the toe holes. If you got in the toe holes, it's pretty much game over. Just really, really chunky pedaling up that thing. And I picked some gearing that was maybe a little too heavy for me, which really took a toll on me throughout the course of the race. But all race, this was the defining feature. So like hit it super hard up Crumpet, and then everything else was just kind of regroup. And then it was a bunch of group racing down below in the fairground. I was with the front group on the first lap, made it with the front group on the second lap, and then on the third lap, things really started falling apart for me. I just could not get the engine to fire like I wanted it to. I was like stuck in one gear, and that was really hurting me, especially up the climb to Crumpet. About 3 laps in, I drifted back to 10th place. For me, that's kind of where the race ended. I knew there was nothing I could do to change, how I was feeling. So finishing the C1 in 10th was as good as I could go, and I just wanted to make sure that is where I ended up. Regardless, after 3 laps to go, I still had to climb Crumpet 9 times. Anyway, I was listening to the announcers talk about the front of the race a lot, and it seemed like Eric Brunner had a killer race. He broke a chain about midway through, but then came back into the front group. Anton and Thies were off the front, but then there was a bunch of crashes. So Anton got off first, crashed, then everything came back together. Then Thies and Anton were off the front, and they crashed on the very last lap up Crumpet. Like I said, I think Thies got into one of those footholds and tumbled over, took Anton out, and Vinny was there to take full advantage of that. He passed them and held it for the win, and then Brunner came up and passed one of them for third. So it was Vinny, Thies, and then Brunner, and I just kind of limped it on home for 10th place. Not a great result for me, but I did get some USCX Series points and pick up some UCI points. Biggest thing I was hoping after the race was that this was a good opener. I think the heavy conditions and the travel leading up to Fayetteville and then the travel after Fayetteville were like lingering in my legs and kind of like shut me down. Hoping that kind of opened me up, and I was pretty keen to race on Saturday, which is the next recap that I'll bring to you guys. Thanks for watching. See you for Saturday's C2 race at Jingle Cross.